Hello again. Articles of Freedom, number 24. 3. Immediately cease the imposition, enforcement, and collection of withholding of earnings from the paychecks of the citizens of the United States. 4. Immediately release and fully restore all citizens wrongly imprisoned as a result of the unconstitutional application of the income tax. C. Remedial instruction to each of the several states. Therefore, each of the several states shall 1. Repeal any and all state income tax laws to the extent that they are rooted in or based upon the unconstitutional operation and enforcement of the federal revenue laws. 2. Preserve, protect, and defend the liberty and property of its citizens against unconstitutional seizures by the federal government pertaining to the unlawful collection of income taxes. 3. Cease the unconstitutional imposition and collection of the state income tax upon the unalienable right of its citizens' labor, to wit, it has been well said that the property by which every man has in his own labor, as it is the original foundation of all other property, so it is the most sacred and inviolable. The patrimony of the poor man lies in the strength and dexterity of his own hands, and to hinder his employing this strength and dexterity in what manner he thinks proper, without injury to his neighbor, is a plain violation of this most sacred property. See Butchers Union Company versus Crescent City Company, 111 U.S. 746757. Compensation for labor cannot be regarded as profit within the meaning of the law. The word profit, as ordinarily used, means the gains made upon any business or investment, a different thing altogether from mere compensation for labor. See the Commercial League Association of America versus the People, X Rel. 90 ILL. 166173. Recommended civil actions by the people. Whereas from 11 November until 22 November 2009, the Continental Congress convened pursuant to the people's formal petition for redress of grievances relating to the federal income tax and the long train of abuses and usurpations relating to the aforementioned tax. Whereas tyranny by means of taxation is one of the most oppressive aspects of government and must be guarded against to protect man's unalienable rights. Whereas all government activity that provides funding for unconstitutional programs is to be considered tyrannical in nature and should be condemned by the people as a whole. Whereas after a comprehensive, exhaustive, and lengthy deliberation of historical facts and law, Continental Congress 2009 finds A. That our servant federal government has failed to directly respond to the people's petition and in fact has indirectly responded with threats, intimidation, and repeated harm. B. That the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution definitively and conclusively failed to be properly and legally ratified, thus rendering it void. That the income tax as currently applied is definitively and conclusively as an unconstitutional, direct, unapportionated tax on labor, the most sacred and inviolable property of the citizens of the United States. D. That the institutionalized withholding from the paychecks and the earnings of the citizens is definitively and conclusively unconstitutional. Therefore, we, the delegates of Continental Congress, recommend the people study 1. Study and understand the research done by Bill Benson in his book, The Law That Never Was. And once they have a firm understanding of the argument, they are encouraged to educate their family, friends, and fellow Americans about the truth behind the 16th Amendment. 2. Contact their local county government, including the sheriff, and demand cooperation in enforcement of state and federal laws, prohibiting the illegal filing of notices of federal tax liens and the filing of a federal tax lien or levy without proper federal court orders attached. federal agents acting under a color of law. 3. Put their banks and employers on notice that federal income tax levies should not be honored without a federal court order attached and without an affidavit from the sheriff that the levy is legal and proper. 4. Prepare to replace any sheriff or county or state government officials at the next election or sooner through impeachment or recall who refuse to cooperate and honor their oath of office to protect and defend the federal and state constitutions and the people. 5. Be prepared to withhold their income tax from the government once the above steps of self-defense are in place. 6. Furthermore, without delay, the public is advised to contact their county sheriff, state and federal representatives, and senators demanding the unconstitutional taxation and withholding of earnings be stopped immediately. Okay, where's my time? All right. I'm going to get into Article 9. Foreign Policy and the General Welfare Clause of the Preamble to the Constitution. A. Background and statements of the facts. The general welfare is mentioned twice in the Constitution for the United States. First, in the preamble, where embedded with other reasons to establish a constitution, it is stated to promote the general welfare. Articles 1:8, subsection 8 then states, the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts, and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. This declarative sentence is followed by a list of powers that restrict what Congress may do in this regard. As J. Madison states in Federalist 41, referencing the General Welfare Clause, nothing is more natural or common than to use a general phrase and then to explain or qualify it by a recital of particulars. Madison further writes that it would be an absurdity if the list of particulars was interpreted as anything but restrictive on the general statement. Therefore, notwithstanding the interpretations of the past century, the Congress of the United States has misinterpreted the General Welfare Clause in order to expand its powers and to impose the tyranny of unjust taxes upon the people. The preamble of the Constitution reveals that one of the reasons for its creation is to promote the general welfare of the people. A foreign policy which seeks to meddle in the internal affairs of foreign countries, including the act of choosing sides, is clearly detrimental to this cause. The 9/11 report documents that this policy of meddling has caused foreign nationals I was checking my time, to turn their hostilities toward Americans. These hostilities have given rise to domestic policies such as the so-called War on Terror, which have resulted in the enactment of statutes such as the U.S. Patriot Act that are inconsistent with the so-called Privacy Clause of the Fourth Amendment. There can be no doubt that this policy has endangered the security of the American people and has restricted their natural rights. This approach to relations with those beyond our borders clearly does not serve the general welfare and does not serve the national interest. All right, I'm going to get into learn more about the subject matter of this article, read the general welfare clauses, read the petition for redress of grievances regarding the United States unconstitutional financial aid to Israel and occupation of various countries in the Middle East, see the related Continental Congress 2009 video presentation, George Washington, First President David Justice, WTPC State Coordinator, Foreign Policy excerpts from George Washington's farewell address. And that's where we will pick up when we come back.